So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install some Gatekeeper Knuckle Pod mounts and some lights on them, obviously. The mounts wouldn't do much good without lights on them. So we're going to get these installed. I did install these on the Gladiator, and they have since changed the design. It now has a bigger space at the top that is slotted, so you can kind of position things where you want it. So kind of liking that, and they're painted, so kind of like that. So this will mount up on the steering knuckle right there with those two bolts. So we need to remove those, which is a 13 millimeter, so we'll get started on taking those off. All right, so we got the knuckle pod mounts from Gatekeeper Off-Road installed. So now we just have to add lights, and for that we're going with these. These are the KC Flex Era 1s. So their latest version of the single pot flex. These are gonna be pretty sweet. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these mounted up, and then we can get them wired up. So we got the Gatekeeper Knuckle Pod light mounts installed, and on top of that, we installed the KC Flex Era 1 single lights to each of those, so check it out. That's going to be awesome. So fire them up here. Now the nice thing on these new Flex Airs is they are a dual mode. So I'll show you what I mean here. So kind of like the A-pillar lights where it's got the amber back glow. These have an amber back glow option for them. So that's on right now. And I tied those into the same switch so that when the A-pillar lights have the amber back glow going, so do the knuckle pod lights. Really kind of a cool look, I think. And then for the actual main lights, there we go. Pretty sweet. Now I do have amber covers for them. We'll see, I'll probably use those definitely when we're off-roading. Yeah, let's just plug one on here and see what it looks like. I'm curious now. All right, so there we are with the amber covers. And that, of course, is the full on mode. Let's see what happens when we do the amber back glow with those covers on. Definitely mutes it a little bit, but not bad. All right, so another step done on the JL. Got a few more things to do. Keith is still working away, getting the roof rack set up with all the accessories we're gonna mount on it. And then we can actually get it mounted back on top of the Jeep. I got to put the Freedom panels on. I've got inner fender liners to put back in, a couple other little things. So, well, not so little. So stay tuned. All right, so we got the roof rack back on the Jeep and we've added some accessories to it, so check it out. We got the Rome Adventure cases, 2 RotoPax water cans. In the middle, we've got the Gazelle tent strapped to the American Adventure Lab sleeper keepers. Another Rome box. And then 2 RotoPax fuel cans. I'm pretty excited about how the way this thing is turning out. We've just about got everything back together. There's a few more things left to do. And then we could do a big walk around, big reveal. But man, this is pretty sweet. It's finally making it mine. And I'm super excited about that. So let's keep going and get some more stuff done. So the JL build is coming along nicely, and there's just a couple things left that I want to do to it. And we're going to get started on that today with installing some rock lights. So first I'm going to start by taking out the inner fender liners, which is really nice with these American Adventure Lab quick release inner fenders. And just like that, the inner fender liner is out and ready for us to drill in some new rock lights. Now for our rock lights on this, we're going to be using the KC HiLites Cyclone V2s. And they make a nice little flush mount bracket for these. So we're going to go ahead and actually drill these in to the inner fender liner. And we're going to figure out how we want our spacing on it, where we want it, but that will give us a nice flush finish and keep it out of the way of getting in contact with anything. So we're going to figure out where we want this, and then we'll start drilling our holes. So now we're going to use a hole saw, and I've did the best I could to measure out the bracket. It is a 2 3/8 or 60 millimeter. So we're going to give this a shot. Hopefully I don't screw this thing up. Oh, there's no turning back now. Pretty dang close. I think we just need to clean up the hole a little bit and that will drop right in. All right, so I got my main hole drilled out and then I got the 4 bolt holes drilled out. It does come with a rubber gasket for you. So we're going to go ahead and get all this lined up. Then we can start bolting that on to the fender liner. Now the kit does come with some self-tapping screws and I just didn't really want to use those. So I picked up some other hardware here. So these are M4 screws and associated hardware. All right, so there is the flush mount bracket installed to the inner fender liner. Pretty happy so far. So let's get a light mounted up on this. We'll put it back in the Jeep and make sure we're happy with it before we start drilling the rest of them. So there it is, the KC Cyclone V2 mounted into the American Adventure Lab inner fender liner with the KC flush mount. You see it's got just a little bit of a lip to it, but so much better than it sticking all the way out and on top where it could easily be ripped off. So this will give a nice surface that even if the tire does come into contact with it at all, it should glide across it, not tear up the tire, not tear up the fender, not tear up the light. So pretty happy with that. Let's put it on the Jeep and see how it looks with it in place. All right, so there it is. Got it all mounted up in place. Of course, it's not wired up yet. I still have all 3 other corners to do, plus I've got some to do down the frame rail, but I'm liking that right now. I think that's going to be really nice. So to get the other 3 done, and then we'll start working on the chassis side of the lights. And yeah, this will be pretty cool. All right, so now that I've got the rock lights all installed in the inner fender liners, it's time to install some underneath the body of the Jeep so that I can illuminate the center section of the Jeep. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to drill in underneath here and install a nutsert. And that'll allow me to just bolt the KC Cyclone directly into that nutsert and then be good to go. So find my location here. I'm going to drill a pilot hole and then I've got the right size to drill it out for the nutsert and we'll get this installed. All right, so there it is. That's installed. I've got 3 more to do, so I'm doing 2 on each side, 1 towards the front and 1 further towards the back. So I got to do the other one on this side and then the 2 on the passenger side, and then I can start wiring everything up. All right, so I got all 8 of the rock lights installed on the JL, so I wanted to show you those here real quick. So in each of the front fender wells, I've got 1 right there. And then in the rear, right up top there. And then underneath, I've got 1 up here, which is towards the forward edge of the rear door. And then I've got another 1 right here, which is toward the forward edge of the front door. And it's the same on the other side. So pretty happy with the way that those all installed. Now comes the fun part. Building out the wiring harness to connect all 8 lights together. That's gonna be fun. So let's get started on that. All right, so I've been working away on the wiring harness for the rock lights on the JL. I've got the passenger side all built and just loosely put up in place. Things are not buttoned up by any means, but I wanted to test them out and check them out. So let's hook these things up and boom, look at that. Let's turn the lights off. See what we got. Oh yeah. That is nice. All right, so I'm really excited to have that side at least tentatively wired up and working, verified that it's all working. And I like the look of it. I think it's gonna be really nice. So it's getting kind of late here, so I'm gonna call it a night. I'll finish up the other side of the wiring harness tomorrow, get everything connected, and we'll take another look at it tomorrow. So we'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Back in the shop for day 2 of working on the rock lights on the JL. Been in here already for a couple hours this morning, and I have finished up the wiring harness, so I've laid it out on the floor so you guys can take a look. It has been quite a bit of work, but we've got our connections up here that will go to the S-Pod, and then down the driver's side to the first rock light that is in the driver's side inner fender liner, down to the first rock light on the body, the second rock light on the body, and then the left rear. And then, of course, across the back of the hood line, the engine bay, to the right front inner fender, the 2 body connectors, and then finally to the right rear. So it has been a lot of work to build this harness out, but everything should fit absolutely perfect with very minimal excess wiring. So pretty happy with this. So I'm gonna lay this out kind of underneath the Jeep and just kind of connect everything the best I can to make sure everything works before I go through the process of routing all the wires and all that stuff. So I already tested out the passenger side yesterday, so I know that side works, but you know, I've been doing a lot of work on this wiring harness today. So I just want to make sure before I spend the time routing all the wires that if I've got an issue somewhere, I could fix it now without having to pull the whole thing apart. So don't expect any, but let's get it mocked up and see how we do. So all 8 lights are working. So we built the harness correctly. Man, so close. So all I got left now is to actually route the wires the way I want it, get the fender liners put back in place, hook up to the S-Pod, and we are good to go. We can cross this off the list finally. And we are getting super close to actually having this thing completely done, at least for now. We all know how that goes. But for what's planned for right now, and what I've been wanting to do to this thing, only a couple things left. All right, so we got all the rock lights wired up and installed. Everything is nice and tight and clean, and I'm loving this. Pretty happy with this. So one more thing off the list. I'll show you guys here at the end. I'll show you what it looks like when it's darker out tonight. It'll probably be in the shop because we're supposed to get some thunderstorms tonight. But I'll show you here when it's dark what it really looks like. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to keep up to date with what's going on at Second Chance Overland with all the Jeeps and all the adventures, remember to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Second Chance Overland. And
I just wanna dance